One thing about Melee is, no matter how much you play it, there's always surprises.
Johnny way behind percentage, but oh my god, dude, that might be. Oh, he stopped. What happened? What happened? What happened? What was that? That was not a meteor cancel, was it? Because he was no, he didn't meteor cancel. That was like that was a weird. I don't know what happened. What? But where's Cardano? Cardano, tell us what happened. Dude, I've never seen that before. Have you seen that before? No, never in my life. That's new. What happened? Nobody knows. Now in Melee.
Near the end of 2015, a man by the name of Stephen Abate embarked on a journey through a tournament bracket called the Big House 5. The Big House 5 was held on October 2nd to 4th in Dearborn, Michigan, and its series would become one of, if not the largest Super Smash Bros. Events in the Midwest, often signaling the end of a ranking year. The 5th installment of this series would be no different, bringing talented Melee players from around the world. Well, except for the number 3 best player in the world at the time, Leffen, who was denied entry into the country over a work visa error. But it would pull a whopping 1,317 entrants for Melee singles, making the Big House 5 the 10th largest Melee tournament of all time. Stephen Abate would come to find out that this particular tournament run would become the single best result in his Melee career, peaking at an impressive 7th place finish. Now at this point some of you may be saying, who cares? And rightfully so. I mean, it is just a video game tournament, right? Here's a quick primer for those unfamiliar with Melee tournaments. Players have coined a handful of terms to describe a tournament's size, frequency, and overall weight. These range from Smashfest to weeklies on the smaller end, to the gargantuan Super Major, which is considered one of the most prestigious tournament types in the scene. And the Big House 5 definitely fell into the Super Major category. These national scale tournaments are often multiple days with an entire separate day of play for top 8. Day 1 is usually your pools matches narrowed down to bracket, and day 2 may be your top 64 competitors narrowed down to top 8, which would make day 3 the big shebang, Championship Sunday. Competitive tournaments like these aren't like a season of sporting events. They're a lot less forgiving. Your favorite American football team can have a bad game in the regular season, but they can still get a crack at playoffs if their overall record is good enough or they make a wildcard slot. But if you have a bad day at a Super Major, that's it. You don't get another shot at a later playoff event. Each tournament has their own set of stakes, ranging from invitation slots to follow-up events to prize pool money. For this reason, Melee has a list of pretty familiar faces you may consistently see in a top 8, but any new players that make an appearance are a welcome change of pace. And the idea of new faces appearing in a top 8 is not something that should be downplayed by any means. A group of players referred to as the 5 gods of Melee, Armada, Hungrybox, Mango, Mewtwo King, and PPMD, dominated nearly every tournament where at least 2 of them were in attendance from 2008 to 2015. Aside from the massive scale of this event, 4 of the 5 gods were present. And wouldn't you guess it, they took 1st through 4th place. So yeah, Abate getting 7th place at a Super Smash Bros. Tournament may not seem like all that much, but to play Melee for multiple days straight and finish 7th over 1,317 total entrants, it's kind of a big deal. Oh, Abate also plays Luigi, which I guess is important also. Luigi is often considered to be profoundly average. He's very much a mid-tier, meaning his usage is fairly low across Melee's player base, and of the people that do choose Luigi as a main, the character tends to struggle in ways that the stronger side of the cast may not. In Melee, playing a low or mid-tier character can feel like you're playing against a stacked deck. It's just not fair all the time, because Melee's higher tier characters like Fox, Falco, and Marth can simply do more things than a mid-tier character like Luigi. To some people, the tier list was more of a tournament viable list. But this can also be a double-edged sword. While Luigi may struggle against some high-tier characters, few players, even at the highest levels, would have a ton of valuable matchup experience against Luigi. Abate even mentions this himself in an interview with Red Bull, saying, "It's interesting because on one hand, I think a lot of people get some basic knowledge against Luigi and then think they solve the matchup. These people go into matches with the preconceived notion that I use character X who is better and has these tools to deal with Luigi, but those people are limiting themselves and get stuck doing textbook stuff. They soon realize that they didn't have the depth of understanding in the matchup that they really need." In 2015, Abate was the best Luigi player in the world at global rank 33, which means he got really, really good at playing against a stacked deck.
So you're on this last stock.
Ironically enough, Abate admits to his main coming to fruition from trolling.
So it kind of started as just like a troll character, just to poke fun at my friend.
After taking a set win off of the legendary Arizona Falco main forward, Abate would soon realize that Luigi was a more than viable character for him. Just a couple years prior to the Big House 5, Abate also made history by becoming the first Luigi main in the world to top 8 a tournament, with a 7th place finish at Zenith 2013. And aside from these outstanding performances, Abate would have a very solid tournament record leading up to this massive event. But what Abate didn't know was that this run at the Big House 5 would become one of the most intense, interesting, and quite frankly weird runs of his tournament career, as well as one that would mark one of the coolest underdog stories in Melee's history. All riding on the coattails of a freak in-game accident versus Johnny, S2J, Kim. To even make it to S2J, Abate would first face down an arguably more difficult opponent, 2015's 9th best player in the world, Axe. And to even make it to Axe, he'd play against well-known players Kira and Lance in the Pants. Abate would win all 3 of these sets 2-0, but the apparent real challenge would come against the 16th best player on 2015's SSBM rank and the other subject of our story, S2J. In 2015, Johnny S2J Kim was the best Captain Falcon main in the world, but he had a major weakness in his edgeguarding. In his early career, S2J became notorious for less than optimal decisions by the ledge, often resulting in dropped conversions or self-destructs.
Just kind of watch.
Yeah.
It's gonna pop up, that's gonna be a knee.
That's it. This is
Grab
the
his
stop.
No, Johnny, come on, dude.
Classic Johnny edgeguard.
That was the Johnny edgeguard where he could have put the controller down.
Johnny has hit like 0 edgeguards to set.
The only other time Abate had faced off against S2J was just a month prior to the Big House 5, at Mayhem September 2015, where S2J would win 2-1. In this set, we'd see a theme of S2J utilizing Stomp in a number of his edgeguards, which, as we'll soon find out, would come to haunt him at this tournament. With a Luigi in the bracket, matchups had already started to become weird. Luigi Pikachu, Luigi Sheik, hell, even Luigi Falco starts to sound a bit strange the more you look at it. But it turns out if you put the world's best Luigi player against the world's best Captain Falcon player, you end up with one of the most electrifying and intense character matchups we'd see through the weekend. And boy did they go at it. Game 1 goes about as you could expect for a Luigi versus Captain Falcon matchup. Like a head-on collision, Abate and S2J would spend most of this game and set constantly running into each other. The 2 trade hits for the first 30 seconds of the match, Abate with some wave dash and up smashes, and S2J with some nairs and up airs. Another 15 seconds expire, and S2J is awarded with the first stock of the set. S2J uses 12 nairs in this short 45-second span. Abate has hit S2J 10 times, mostly from traded hits or combo breaks, to leave S2J at 94%. He then takes S2J's first stock about 10 seconds later, and just over a minute after that, the stock count is 2-1 in favor of Abate. S2J tacks on 7% with the second hit of Nair, and that would be the last hit he gets on Abate before the conclusion of Game 1. Abate piles on over 60%, knocks S2J off stage, and wins Game 1 with a down tilt into down air. The set count is 1-0 in favor of Abate. With Game 2 on the horizon, S2J does something a bit unorthodox. Vish and Webbs, the commentators for this set, are left equally as confused.
Definitely.
Like, I would not have expected that, would you?
Oh my god, S2J's going his Falco.
Oh my.
He's going Falco. If you watch Mango stream, you've seen the Johnny
it's
Falco.
It's a good Falco.
It's a
Don't
good
get me wrong,
Falco.
but this is like showing he is not confident in that matchup.
Not
like,
at all.
I feel like I got bodied. I need to use a different character.
The last time S2J switched to Falco in tournament was just a month prior, versus Beach in a pool set at Body City 3. And the only other tournament recording I found of S2J's Falco prior to the Big House 5 was a set versus Dr. PP's Captain Falcon at Genesis 2 in 2011. To no one's surprise, Abate takes Game 2 over S2J's secondary Falco, and he's now up 2-0 versus S2J. He only needs a single game win to take the set and advance in bracket. But Abate's lead wouldn't last. Games 3 and 4 went down to the wire with both players on their last stocks. S2J would narrowly win them both to bring our set to a Game 5. Now on the verge of a reverse 3-0, Abate would need a miracle. And to everyone's surprise, he found one. In a best-of-5 set, players are not given the opportunity to ban a stage. They also can't counterpick to a stage they've already won on. This is unique from traditional fighters because different stages affect character matchups due to a number of factors like their size, blast zone locations, or platform heights. Abate chooses to go back to Fountain of Dreams after losing Game 4 there. In 2015, Fountain of Dreams was a fairly common counterpick against Captain Falcon. The variable platform heights were often considered detrimental to Captain Falcon's movement, while a character like Luigi would still be able to control the ground game and even poke from beneath a lowered platform.
We're on FOD now, the classic counterpick against Falcon stage. Yeah, Luigi pretty comfortable here. He can definitely maneuver under those platforms, control the ground pretty well.
Right, and then things like up tilt and up smash are good for tech chasing on those lower platforms.
The lower platforms just become so dangerous to get stuck on.
Right.
In similar fashion to Game 1, the two players trade hits almost percent for percent, but this time Abate takes the first stock. At 6:52, just 10 seconds after S2J respawns, Abate's first stock is lost. This seesaw of stock losses would swing in both directions through the rest of this Game 5. At 6:47, Abate opens up S2J's second stock for an extended combo and takes the stock while only receiving 12% in return. S2J would respond back with another stock on Abate, again just a short period after respawning, leaving both players with 2 stocks remaining. At 5:42, Abate gets an opening which surely looks like it will convert into a stock. With a strong 62% combo, Abate knocks S2J off the left side of the stage. All he has to do is grab the ledge and S2J is dead. But he does nothing, and S2J makes it back.
Oh, beautiful jab.
Okay. Back air again?
He's on jump. Can be a down air. Oh, that was not the best DI.
What are you doing, Abate? Abate!
He had nothing.
This is not the time.
Oh my god.
Fortunately, the flub only cost Abate some percent and time on the clock, as he's able to pick up the stock about 15 seconds later. At 4:45, S2J, looking to equalize the stock count yet again, hits Abate with knee, one of Falcon's most common finishers, and it sends Abate far off the stage. But Abate gets a misfire, which allows him to tack on a small 7% before going down.
Oh,
Dude, this is
okay.
so tense.
There
Oh
we
my
go.
God.
He punishes just with a knee on a shield. Great DI.
Oh,
and the misfire.
That's the misfire he needed.
That was huge. That was a well-timed. That's how you know he's a Luigi man.
Yeah. Pulled out the misfire when he needed it.
Game 5, his opponent's last stock, and he gets the perfect misfire.
If there's one aspect of gaming which has the ability to tilt players into the Shadow Realm, it's RNG.
I lost the run to RNG, dude. What?
In Melee, Luigi is a character whose most hyped clips can completely circulate around one singular move, the green missile. Or, more specifically, the green missile misfire, which has a 1 in 8 probability of occurring. Abate is a player who can seemingly hit this 1 in 8 probability whenever the hell he wants.
Like 17? Something like that?
I really hope Connor takes it. I hope he...
Oh, no!
No way! What? Is he gonna win? Oh!
Are you serious?
Oh my god!
Onto the stage. Now he can DI away pretty safely, but that down smash is gonna take him off. What? Oh, what? Shakes his head.
Shortening his... Yeah. Oh! Yeah! I don't mean to shit. Oh, okay.
Oh my god!
Let's go, Abate.
Thank you, RNG.
On the other side of a mind-blowing combo finished with a 12.5% chance of even occurring in the first place is often a sad, angry, or just plain confused opponent. Misfire combos are a level of jank that can mentally destroy even the calmest of players, and the general population of Luigi players seem to have the most fortunate timing when it comes to landing them. The thing about this Game 5 though, was that everyone was expecting some type of misfire jank because RNG just seems to favor Abate that much. But he got something so much more interesting. With both players on their last stock, Abate misses a crucial edge guard, which allows S2J to build some percent. The two continue to block any attempt at a stray hit the other brings out, and with S2J at high percent, he rolls away from Abate's attack. Abate gets a down smash on shield, which allows S2J to jump out of shield and land a knee. This sends Abate at a sharp angle downwards. Abate, now hoping for luck to be in his favor, looks for a misfire. He doesn't get it. In fact, his missile leaves him pretty far from the ledge, and he's one edge guard away from losing the set. But S2J, in true S2J fashion, takes matters into his own hands and goes for an offstage stomp. He hits it, but Abate doesn't move. The two players fall together with no chance at returning to stage, and with one last desperate recovery, S2J hits the blast zone first. In a sea of palpable confusion, the set is over. Abate wins 3-2. It's easy to see the emotion in the room. It's sheer and utter chaos. Pittsburgh competitors are losing their minds for their beloved Abate. S2J hangs his head in complete disbelief, and with an almost equal amount of disbelief, Abate sits back, shocked. Everyone was watching that, and everyone saw something completely unfathomable. As the replay comes on, the confusion lingers. The commentators don't know what happened. The spectators don't know what happened. And most importantly, Abate and S2J don't know what happened. It makes no sense. And to some people, it doesn't matter if it makes sense, because Abate won, and he gets to move on to a top 8 qualifier versus Mango. But if you think that's the last we hear of this set, you're mistaken. The internet would soon become flooded with Smash boards and Reddit threads ranging from very justified expletives to crowd reaction videos to theories on what exactly happened.
Oh! Oh! There it is! The most infamous of glitches. For those who don't know, that's called the invisible ceiling. And if you want to know more, forget about it. It's too weird to even discuss.
The true interaction between Abate and S2J was called an invisible ceiling glitch, or ICG for short. This glitch is also referred to as Y knockback velocity canceling, which seems like a much more fitting name for the visuals paired to this clip. It all starts with Abate hitting S2J's shield with down smash. The glitch becomes triggered when S2J uses knee out of shield to counter Abate's attack, and we can see the hit send Luigi into the invisible ceiling, which causes him to move back down. Abate gets sent at an awkward angle, and the glitch is still active by the time S2J goes for the stomp because the left side of his shield was hit. But because Abate initially hit the left side of S2J's shield, the glitch occurs infinitely until the attacker hits the ground or grabs the ledge. When the stomp finally hits, he does not take any vertical knockback, and Abate is able to survive for just long enough to win the game. It's a truly bizarre sequence of events, and the crowd reaction and subsequent search for answers is indicative of that. When everything was on the line, fate decided to give Abate one last push. And it worked. This match was just one in the sea of high-profile face-offs taking place at the Big House 5. And in a double elimination bracket, both players remained in the tournament at the conclusion of this set. S2J ended up making a commendable run after falling to Abate, taking out Chillindude and Intendude before losing to SFAT, ultimately placing 9th. Abate would be sent to losers in his following set versus Mango. He'd then eliminate Duck with an impressive 3-game-1 win to qualify for top 8 before falling to Shroom for 7th place. And like I said earlier, this run would become Abate's single best performance in his Melee career. The two would later play in a Salty Sweet set just a few months later at Genesis 3, which S2J would win 4-2. Abate vs S2J at the Big House 5 was a set that breathes emotion, and its ending is one I still look at to this day with the same amount of shock as the first time I ever watched it. And yet it's oddly anticlimactic. It was such an intense buildup of a player known for his unique character, and a character known for its somewhat underwhelming impact on the tournament scene. An emotional roller coaster of a set versus a very competitive opponent, all to just end. VG Bootcamp would later mark Abate vs S2J at the Big House 5 as 2015's Set of the Year, and I think that it's a well-deserved title. Its deciding Game 5, in my opinion, still remains as one of the most mysterious and intriguing stories in Melee's history. It's a story which sparked a collective interest and confusion in the entire Melee community, a story showcasing the beauty, complexity, and sheer randomness of Melee. and a story which, at this point, is a closed case. Did the glitch actually matter? Well, maybe not. But hindsight is 20/20. Melee players are incredibly good at unraveling the mysteries surrounding their game, and while a plausible explanation for the glitch was eventually reached, I'd like to think that this particular tournament encounter will remain a strange and seemingly inexplicable set for many years to come. But for as long as Melee players continue to experience the strange and seemingly inexplicable, the curious case of Abate vs S2J will, no doubt, live on.